everyone, we're in the garden today and I'm going to show you my new favorite crop, and it is the loofah vine. I got these seeds free at the library this year, and we have a local library catalog where you can check out free seeds. So y'all check out your library and see if you have that resource where you live. These things have done awesome, y'all. In central Mississippi, apparently it is the perfect climate for these vines. I only planted about 6 plants and they have taken over a lot of the garden. So this is a good demonstration of the different stages of growth on the loofah. This one's ready to harvest. I'm going to harvest it in a minute and show you what it looks like and show you how to gather the seeds. This one's actually perfect for eating, and this one as well. All you have to do is take it to the kitchen and peel the skin off of it and slice it, and you can cook it just like you can a summer squash. Look how long this thing is. This thing's got to be 1.5 feet of loofah. This is not quite ready to pick, and we still have another month, another 5 or 6 weeks before our first frost. Maybe a little bit more than that actually, but this one's ready to pick. The vines may not look really good right now, but they're still putting on fresh fruit, and they're going to continue to make fruit until the frost kills their vine. Some of the pros about growing loofah is there are not a lot of pests that damage them. They can be attacked by aphids and spider mites and cucumber beetles, but I really haven't noticed a lot of pest pressure on my vines. They're also really good for the pollinators. So when all of the blooms are open first thing in the morning, all of the pollinators are going crazy on the vines. These plants are not self-pollinating, so you do have to have pollinators to visit the female and the male flowers to get a fruit set. And they're fairly deer resistant. I have not noticed any of the deer eating on my loofah vines like I have in the pumpkin patch, so they're resistant to my deer, knock on wood. One of the downsides to growing loofah is it takes up a lot of room in your garden. I planted about 6 plants and it's taken up about 30 or 40 feet of my garden, which I've got that room to give it, but if you've got a small garden or a small yard, you better make sure you have plenty of trellis for it to grow up and over things. You do need to grow it on a trellis if you're going to harvest it for sponges, because if it's laying on the ground, it can rot and get kind of moldy if it's growing on the ground. It needs to have air circulating under it. One of the downsides to the loofah is it has a really long growing season. So if you live in the northern states, you may not have long enough to let it grow to this size to reach a mature sponge, because it takes about 120 days to get to a mature sponge, and even a month longer if you're going to let it grow on the vine. So if you're in the north, you can grow edible loofah, and they taste fabulous. I love them. They're one of my favorite new vegetables to cook, but you may not have enough time to let it get to this. This one is huge. It will probably start turning yellow and brown before we get our first frost. And then if it's not completely dry like this, which I don't think it will be, I'll just cut it off and I'll put it in the greenhouse or put it in the attic and let it continue to dry up there. So what a fun way to grow a sustainable product, and also a product that you can eat. I'm going to show y'all just how much this loofah wants to be able to reproduce, and I'm going to show you where the seeds are accumulated at the bottom. I'm going to shake it a little bit so you can hear them. I got to get my bowl so I can collect my seeds. I'll be right back. So you can shake it up a little bit, and let me show y'all what these seeds look like in the bottom of this loofah. This is the first year that we have grown loofah, but it's not going to be the last year. We'll continue to grow loofah in our garden from now on. I'm going to have loofah coming out my ears, so if you're a friend, if you're a relative, if you're an acquaintance and you've got a birthday or some sort of event coming up, you're probably going to get something made out of loofah from me. And we're going to do something a little bit different on this video. Since these seeds were free to me from the library, I'm going to offer you some free seeds. I want you to comment down below how many seeds you think I'm going to get out of this plant here. And if you have the right number of seeds, and if there's multiple of you that have the right number of seeds. If I don't have enough seeds to go around, we'll do a drawing, but I'm gonna mail you some of these loofah seeds so you can grow you some loofah next year for free. I think probably in the entire garden, this is my most fun crop to grow because it is prolific. It gives me an abundance of sponges. It's going to give me an abundance of fruit, and it has a long growing season, and it's just a lot of fun to come out here at the end of the week and see how many loofah you have on the vine. So when it's all said and done and I have all of these harvested and ripe, I'll share with you how many loofah I have for the season. I wouldn't harvest a loofah before it starts getting brown spots on it like this, just because the sponge may not be completely mature. So any time between this stage when you've got brown spots on it to this stage is a good time to harvest. I'm going to show you how easy it is to peel the outer peeling off of this loofah. You just want to go down the ribs of the loofah just to make a slit. And look how easy that is. It peels just like a banana. See all the seeds that are at the bottom? So since I didn't let that dry on the vine, I'm gonna have to be really careful not to lose those seeds. Now I'll let it lay flat to dry, and when it gets completely dry, then I'll shake it and gather those seeds. Let me show you the difference in peeling one that's completely dried on the vine. It's a little bit more difficult. So this is the one that we just cut off the vine. It is dry, dry, dry. Probably gonna lose a few seeds out of here. Just slice you a little slice down there. You have to work a little bit harder to peel it. You can soak it in water to make the peel a little bit easier to come off.
You can see it's just a little bit harder to peel. I am going to show you a difference in the way the sponge looks when you let it harvest, when you let it dry on the vine. I am going to show you a difference in the way the sponge looks when you let it completely dry on the vine versus picking it a little bit green. Let me get the peel off and I'll show you.
It's easier to peel it when it's just a little bit green versus this. And I think the sponge comes out a little bit more intact. If you can see, if you'll zoom in closely, see how that sponge is nice and intact, and those have a little bit of threads there. So in the future, when I have a completely brown ripe loofah on the vine, I'm gonna soak it in a little bit of water so I can loosen it from the skins. These dried loofah have been soaking in the water for about 10 minutes. I'm going to show you how much easier it is to peel now. Just take your knife and do a gentle slit down the ridge. Try not to cut deep enough to cut the sponge. See how much easier that is? So much easier. I think I still prefer peeling the loofah when they have a little bit of green to them, but if they're completely dry, soak them in water for about 5 minutes and then they'll come clean like that. So now I'll just take the pressure attachment to my water hose and clean this out and put it back in the greenhouse to dry again, and then I'll have a sponge that's ready to use. How cool is that? I never knew loofah came from gardens. I think I thought they came from the sea. I thought they came from the ocean, but we gonna have loofah coming out our ears around here, y'all. Y'all go grow you something to eat, and remember, teach your kids, teach your grandkids. We'll see you next time.